Hello nerds, welcome back to the Waifus. I'm Sefi and today we're gonna be talking about the worst NIKKE right now in the game. We're gonna actually have a list of the 3 that I consider to be the worst of the worst. Now this list, albeit, I think it's pretty accurate. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we could add or change. So before you watch the video, let me know in the comment section who do you think is the worst NIKKE and why do you think that's the reason. That said, if you like this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe to help me grow the channel, and let's get started. So let's go into NIKKEs. I actually have all of them not on my synchro because there's no way I would have them here. And let's start with everyone's favorite character, that's Lin. So let's actually go into her skill set. So Lin is an attacker, burst 3, and her kit is quite selfish and quite useless. So the first thing you'll notice is she increases her attack speed every 40 basic attacks, and then also when she's at max HP, she increases her critical rate and critical damage. This is only at max HP, and then her ultimate also, you need her to be at max HP to actually deal any damage. So affect enemies within attack range, deal 234% of damage, and then cast on the same enemies when at max HP, dealing 546 extra damage of attack. Realistically, she will never be at full HP. Most of your characters will not be. On campaign, on PvE, on PvP, doesn't matter what you're playing, you receive damage constantly. So, you are losing already half of her kit, which is skill number 2, the passive, and then the second part of her burst skill. If to that you also encounter that she's dealing only 200% of damage, she is not that good. Obviously she's level 1, but at level 10 she deals, I believe, around 400% of attack. So let's compare that, for example, with Guillotine with 2 dupes, level 1, the skill she deals 700%. If you compare that to most burst 3 units, she just is not cut for that, right? She's a unit that has way too low damage, provides no value to the team, and sadly a lot of people seem to get her a lot. In fact, one of my friends has her at core 7, so congratulations to you, Estella. Also shout out to you. And let's move into the second unit that I consider to be one of the worst one, not only in the game and her kit, but also in personality, because that's Crow. Now, we could say a lot of things about Crow. I'm not sure why the developers keep her in the game. She sucks, completely sucks. And sadly, her subordinates are just way too good for her. So let's move into her kit. Well, first, before we move into her kit, she is a defender. That's important because defenders usually have a defensive kit. And that's the same case with Crow here. If you check her second skill, Daredevil, when the last bullet hits the target, it deals damage, but also it will affect Crow, increasing her defense for 5 seconds by 7% at level 1, which at max level it's around 12-13% increased defense. But it doesn't matter if she's increasing her defense because she doesn't have a taunt, and as a defender she is useless. Then she also have the terrorist, which is 541% of attack as damage, which is not bad, but the rest of her kit just makes no sense. Her first skill, killing time, affects all enemies activating when entering full burst, decreasing their damage, which once again is not. But for a defender, her kit is pretty lackluster. She will not provide a lot of things to your team, and there are just a lot of better options when we talk about burst 3, even if we don't talk about pilgrims. Now, I'm sad that they did Crow this dirty because I really like her design, but I just cannot get behind the fact, even if I'm not like a big lore guy, I just cannot get behind her. I just fucking hate her. All that said, let's move into the last character that I believe to be between the worst contenders for today, which is Where You At, My Girl. So for the last contender, we'll be going into the Nikkepedia because I don't have her, and that's N1. Now, there are a lot of things about her. First of all, you can play match 3 on her forehead. That's a positive or a negative, depending what you are into, that's up to you. But she suffers the same thing as Lin, and that is she just deals too low of damage to be considered worth using. So she's a burst 2 unit. She's competing on a really tough spot. There are a lot of great units. As you can see, her first skill is a passive that will activate when fighting the last round, increasing charging speed and charging damage. Her second skill is a passive that will decrease defense of the target she's firing for. And her ultimate, Turning the Tide, will affect 10 enemies, dealing 85% of attack at level 10 and decreasing their defense by 2% for 15 seconds, also affecting all allies, increasing the critical rate. She provides absolutely no value, and a lot of units suffer the same because they just are using stats that are no good. Like in NIKKE there are specific stats that right now are just too good to not use, right? Mostly attack for most units, that's what you want. And if you compare that to, for example, even Rupi with her burst skill deals more damage. Obviously, this is skill 7, but she deals more damage and also provides utility for your team. And that's what you want on a burst 1 and burst 2 unit usually. Now, that said, I believe there's also some units we could mention And for that, we can move into Brightwen for a second and check the tier list on the bottom because most of the units are here. So, for example, Prima and Julia, even though they are bad, they can have specific uses. And also, a special mention here, Sakura, she should not be here. I believe there should be a special tier. Nikka seems to be going in the direction of releasing new units to fix problems or to help with specific mechanics, like it's the case with the last 3 units we've gotten, with Sakura, with Biscuit, with D, and everyone else. And as such, I believe we really need to start having special categories for mechanics, because at the end of the day, a lot of units are great, but new players will look at them and be like, okay, she's really low tier, but in reality, she's a really great unit. That said, that's going to be my list for today's Boys of the Worst Nikkes, at least in my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think is the worst one? Like always, huge shout out to our Patreons who are helping us making this content. If you want to support us, you have the Patreon link in the description below. Hope the video was useful, boys, and see you in the next one.